recording. All right, SML. Welcome to What If by SML Studios. We got the blip may be happening. We don't know. We're waiting on EA, which we have no idea what that could entail as far as how long we got to wait, or even if we're gonna blip. But I figured just in case we do blip, what do we think some of these guys might do in a new mock draft, and if how the cycle could look different these last 5 seasons. And I got Bean on here with me. Bean, you ready to jump into this?
Oh yeah, I'm ready to jump into it.
All right. So like I
Excited
said,
to see what's gonna happen in this little multiverse.
yeah, like I said, not I don't think this is going to be necessarily how it pans out, but this is more how I think it could. Maybe if guys are drafting based off how the first 3 seasons went. And we'll start with number 1. I've got Prime picking first. By the way, this order is based off of the evals that we have so far. They're not even done for season 3 yet, but this is kind of an idea of what the draft order could look like. And we've got Prime number 1. I've got Prime taking the Bucks. I think he would have the opportunity to play with Brady. He's always said he likes Brady. He's got plenty of assets there on the Bucks to trade so that he can get a quarterback to replace him, including a superstar center that's I think 90 overall, so he can be moved right away. Both sides of the ball pretty loaded. He took the Colts, and I think seeing guys like Dan and QP take the 49ers and the Cardinals, it kind of put him at a disadvantage. And so I think he goes with a better team, and I think in this scenario he takes the Bucks.
Yeah, I know Prime's a guy that picks the same team every year, but I don't know how he does it. I couldn't ever play a half of, especially on the same Madden, like
Yeah.
between a blip and after. Building a team up where he had a really nice team, all the pieces that he wanted. He was ready to just settle down and, play to try and win some Super Bowls, and then to have to redo that with the same team, that's always a morale killer. I could definitely see him going elsewhere. I don't know if the Bucks would be his option. I could see him going after the Niners. I know that team is loaded right now with
Yeah.
McCaffrey, who's not as good as JT, but he's insane. He loves his tight ends. He could go to Kittle, then he could try and get fancy with some Debo stuff.
Yeah,
I could see
absolutely.
him
Could
going
see them
Niners.
too. One thing, thanks to EA and not being able to go a full year without something happening to our CFMs, we do have some precedents, and we did see him go from the Chiefs to the Colts after
Yep.
the last blip, so he didn't stay with the team. In fact, on this mock, we don't even have many guys staying with their teams, except I left D-Muse with the Saints and Grams with the Cowboys, because I think regardless of anything that happened, they would pick the same teams if given the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
So then we have me at number 2. I took the Chargers just because quarterback has been just kind of my Achilles heel ever since even joining the SML. I just can't find a quarterback, so we just solved that with Justin Herbert right off the bat.
Yeah, I could see you going either like a Chargers, or I honestly would probably have you going as the Bengals. I just think that team
Yeah.
is so good, and I just use them a ton. And Burrow's incredible. Plus, you have the weapons for the cycle with T. Higgins, who I know you were asking me about, and I
Yep.
know you saw me using Chase a few times, saying that's why I almost took them. And I could see you going with them, especially with Daxton Hill
Oh
using
yeah.
that safety coming down. It's just a really good team.
Yeah, the
Gonna
Bengals are
miss that
really
dude.
nice. And I think either way, I'm gonna have the quarterback position settled if
Oh
I
yeah,
pick a second team.
quarterback, you're set regardless.
Yeah. So at number 3, I've got DW, and I've got him taking the Jets. We heard, he started last cycle with the Jets, loved the Jets, and then as soon as we blipped and we redrafted, he was immediately regretting not getting them. He wanted them this cycle to start. Obviously, I took him. I think this is his chance to get him again, kind of right maybe some of the wrongs. And then on top of that, they have cap space, which he hates about the Bills is he's so cap strapped, and he's got a good team that's too many expectations. But the Jets are actually improved. You got Sauce Gardner starts as an 87. Um,
Yeah,
so they're
somehow 87, but not a
yeah,
superstar.
he's
I
apparently
know
capped out.
before the cycle he was talking about the Lions and the Jets, and I
Yeah,
feel like his love for the Lions kind of died down since Hard Knocks was how many months ago now.
yeah,
So I don't really
exactly.
think he cares much about them. So I could definitely see him going Jets here. It's the same division, which is kind of annoying. You like to play different teams, but the Jets, he wanted them, and I think this is his opportunity to get them.
Yeah, absolutely. So next up, that's got Matt at 4. I think that's what we're on is 4.
Yep,
Yeah, we're
Matt.
on 4. So Matt at 4. Um, I've got Matt. He's kind of one that's tough to get a read on because He tends to blow a lot of smoke. We saw him talking about the Texans earlier before the team draft here, and he ends up going to the Chargers, polar opposite from the Texans. Um, he did talk about the Steelers and how he likes them. He's always talking about TJ Watt. And I think with TJ Watt now getting edge threat in CFM, I think that might put him over the top. And I think he ends up going back to the Steelers. He did only get 2 seasons with him pre blip last cycle. So maybe he gets to finish out a cycle with him now.
Yeah, he's been talking a lot about how you need a QB in this game. He loves Herbert, but he's got a Super Bowl. So now he can have fun. He doesn't have to do anything else for the rest of honestly the next 3 cycles. He still has a Super Bowl. So I could definitely see if the chart or if the Steelers are a team that he thinks would be the most fun with TJ, and I know he was asking Dan about Cam Hayward, which
Yeah.
honestly makes me think it's not going to be the Steelers just because he loves throwing the smoke.
Yep.
This team is very interesting on paper for me at least. You have Pickett, who's not great, but it's something to do. You know, you can build up a QB. We know he tried to do something with Haskins. It was it last year?
Yeah. He
Yeah,
trotted
last year. And
Haskins
he
out
said
there.
he
So I don't
doesn't.
think he's worried about that.
He said he wasn't a good QB or he wasn't a good passer, so he didn't need a good QB. And I think we could. This one does make sense to me,
All right.
but who
So
knows?
so next up after Matt, I've actually got you picking in the 5 spot, and I've got you taking the Ravens. I figure if you can't beat them, join them, and they're already going to be a little bit better getting Roquan Smith at that middle linebacker spot to go with Patrick Queen. Uh, I just think they're still a good team, and I think Matt being in the division maybe that makes you want to stay in there, and I think you take the Ravens.
No, I do love the memes of if you can't beat them, join them. But there's nothing more that I detest than the Ravens. I don't know if I can make myself do it. I really don't. Although
Uh,
that team is really nice, and I didn't realize Roquan Smith was a superstar,
yep.
which does make them more interesting. That's for sure. But
Yeah,
I
that
don't know that's a tough one for me.
that defense actually looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
You have
they're
Roquan
really good
Smith,
looking at
Ajabo,
them right
Owe.
now.
There's quite a few pieces there. Kyle Hamilton
Patrick
even.
Queen too.
Yep,
If you want
Queen's
to
there.
move him or you can use him, it doesn't. You have so many options. You have depth at a lot of positions
Yeah.
and
The only thing you don't
great
have is
starters at all these
receivers.
positions too. Yeah, but you have Lamar, so you can just run around, right?
Exactly. So then we got Dan. Dan, I thought was an easy one. I've got him taking the Eagles. He wanted the Eagles before the cycle. He just in primer just traded for Jalen Hurts. But if we start, let's say we started tomorrow, Jalen Hurts is a superstar, 87 overall in the CFM. So uh, he gets a guy better than what he just traded for in primer. And then obviously AJ Brown is now superstar or X Factor or whatever as well. So I think that's an easy choice. Plus Dan gets 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, this team, I actually my friend bought Madden the other day, so I was just playing them in a head-to-head, and this team is insane. I This is just the team we did the three randoms, and I got the Eagles, and it makes me consider picking them if they're there. But yeah, Dan, this is a great fit for him. If they're still there, I think this is a lock. I don't think it's even close.
Yeah, they're definitely high on my list, but I don't
Yeah,
know if they have the quarterback. And man, you're locked in with Hurts though. That's the only
yeah, you
problem
are.
with the Eagles is being
I
87 and superstar. He's no longer tradable.
I think like the read option stuff would be fun. I don't know if I could do it for a whole cycle. So if I if we're predicting another blip in three
That's
seasons, it
true
could be
too.
really fun to try out.
Yeah, there is no guarantee that we make it. Hell, there's no guarantee we'd
Exactly.
make it through a team draft, and that's not even on Madden.
The Google Sheets
Yep.
crashes on us next.
All right, so picking at 7, I've got Doink, and I've got Doink taking the Vikings. Being a Vikings fan, I think he kind of benefits from them being what are they 12-3, 12-4, something like that right
Yep.
now. So their roster's better. They added Hawkinson at tight end, kind of filled I guess a need. They had Irv Smith, so it's not even much of a need, especially Madden wise. And then being that they're old, it's not as big a factor now that we're only going to have probably 5 seasons at most. So you're not as worried about the age. Like I said, Vikings fan too. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, this team's incredible, and Justin Jefferson is what 97 overall,
Yeah.
something like that with the his favorite ability in the game, or Doink's favorite ability,
Yep.
the apprentice one where you can change all the routes. He loves his squiggly routes. Whenever he had Brady, he was doing that on every play. Jefferson, obviously you can't do it every play, or I guess you can't do it with every receiver. I think Thielen lost his superstar unfortunately, so you won't be able to do it with Thielen as well, but
Yeah. He
Jefferson's
he
a pretty
loses a
nice
little bit
piece.
there, but Jefferson also
Yeah,
one of those guys that he can do like he likes. You just throw it up deep and hope he goes and gets it. And more often than
yeah.
not, Jefferson's going to win that.
I think towards the beginning of like this cycle, Thielen had the slot apprentice or whatever, so
Hmm.
you could change both of their routes.
Yeah.
But they took that off him. So I think this is a good team for Dylan. He likes this team. I could see him doing it. Good defense, no DTs to trade away.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So I've got Demuse taking the Saints. I think it's an obvious choice. The only thing I don't think is he's had a quarterback issue all cycle, and he kind of got it turned around. He finally gets Mac Jones. Not that I think Mac Jones is going to be too difficult to trade for, um, but if he doesn't want to go with the Saints, maybe he just doesn't want to run it back with him two in a row. I could see him going Bengals and going for Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. It's not New Orleans, but it's close enough. He gets the LSU guys, so maybe he goes there if he doesn't want to stay in New Orleans.
Yeah, if the Bengals are here, every person that's picking that's gonna be one of the top dogs,
Yeah.
especially with the Bills too. I think if you're trying to compete, those are just two of the best teams. Um, Saints, if he does end up going back to the Saints, I think he'll have an easier time getting Mac Jones. Just looking at towards the bottom of this list, I don't see any guys that would give him a try,
No,
and I
neither do
don't
I.
think the Patriots are gonna be outside of the bottom five.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
not a good team.
So then we have Woods picking 9, and I've got him taking the Chiefs. I think he really liked having Josh Allen. He had a little bit of success there with Josh Allen, and now he's going to get the best quarterback in the game in Mahomes to a team that's already got some speed at wide receiver, and then they add Kadarius Toney. So I think Woods we could see in a Chiefs uniform if it falls this way.
Yeah, and he did have or have a lot of success with drafting running backs. This
Yeah,
team is one that you can do that with. You do have two nice guys with Pacheco and Clyde Edwards. I mean, Clyde not very good, but I don't know. Pacheco, I guess you can at least use. He's like 77 overall rookie with decent speed, decent excel. So I mean, you could probably trade him for something and try and draft another one if you want to try and find another diamond in the rough like you did the first year. But yeah, the QB is a huge thing for Woods. I know he's been struggling with his rookies this year.
yep.
Could definitely see him going all out and just getting the best one available.
All right. So after Woods, we've got QP. Now QP obviously would love to have the Chargers. Um, and we've seen him have the Ravens. We've seen him have the Cardinals. Likes those fast quarterbacks. Um, I don't think he goes back to the Cardinals. I think he hated having no cap. I mean, you saw it take out Simmons. It took out
Yep.
Buda Baker. I think he's gonna finally go with a team that he can build and that has cap. And I think the Falcons are perfect with both. They've got a cheap quarterback. He doesn't even have to worry about drafting a quarterback. You've got Desmond Ritter there. Not going to start star or superstar. He's just going to start as normal. But 88 speed, so he's mobile enough. His traits, he's ideal. He's not paranoid. He's got the ideal trait. And then the defense with that Troy Anderson and a couple other pieces is sneaky good. You have a little bit of work to do on the defensive side of the ball. You probably need to get a receiver or so. But there's pieces there, and they have cap. And I think QP already good enough as a passer that he can dev Desmond Ritter, and I think that's kind of a really good fit for him.
Yeah, this team, I think it fits him scheme wise. I think losing Calvin Ridley is
Yeah,
kind of unfortunate for him. I think he'd do pretty good with him. We've seen what he does with those other fast guys, but he still has, Demir Bird, who's not going to be a cycle guy. He just doesn't have any really young, fast guys on this team. So he's going to have to either trade for one or do something. I think he loves his speed guys. It'd be a tough fit for him, but I think the defense is built up nicely for what he wants to
yeah,
do.
yeah. And then like I said, Ritter I think to me is the one that sells it. Ritter in the cap space. He gets a guy he can develop
Yeah.
and plenty of flexibility to do what he wants with that roster.
Yep.
Then we've got Finns. I don't have Finns going back to the Dolphins. I think it's as somebody that did pick the same team after the blip. I know how tedious it can be to just run through the same thing uh, that you just did, and now it's even almost a full season further into it. So I have Finn's taking the Bengals. I don't think he's liked Tua. He's had him on the trade block a bunch. He runs really well. He's kind of cycled through running backs, and he does a good job running with them. Pollard, he's really good with. But I think Mixon is a huge grade over his current halfback situation, and he doesn't have a huge drop off from Chase and T. Higgins aren't a drop off from Tyreek Hill and Waddle. A little bit of the speed issue there you might lose, but I think it's enough that it's close enough where he's not going to be too hurt by the receiver position. And defensively, I think they're pretty similar.
Yeah, it's about time these Bengals leave the board. I
Yeah.
know the Bengals and probably the Bills are probably the two best teams available. So I think Finn's he had some success this year, not as much because of Tua. So I think getting the better quarterback is definitely the way to go for him.
Yeah, and I could have went Bills, but he's got Bills in primer, so it didn't. I
Ah,
just don't see somebody
that
taking the same team in both.
yep, yeah,
Um,
but definitely could see him go in the Bengals then.
yeah. So then at 12, we've got Mike picking. Mike already had the Colts in primer. Now he ended up leaving primer, um, but I think at the same time he doesn't want to redo the Colts again. Um, but I also haven't seen him have the opportunity to take the Colts twice in one season, so maybe he does. In this scenario, I haven't taken the Bills. He started. I mean, where we're at right now, he's in the playoff hunt with KC. I think the Bills are a better team, and I think he could take them thinking that he's got a shot. You've only got DW in there right now with the Jets. Nobody's on the Patriots or the Dolphins, so um, I think that makes him think he's at least got a shot.
I know he took the Bills last Madden in primer. I don't know if
Okay,
he's a person that likes to double down on one team, or maybe it's I forget which team he had the Bills in which year. But I think I'd have him go in the 49ers here, just
okay,
for that reason. I think
yeah,
that team is so loaded. That's one of the other teams that somehow is still available at this point. And I think Mike likes a fresh start, and I could see him going there.
okay. Well, then we've got NYT picking 13, and I've got him taking the Browns. I think he regretted not taking them pre-blip for obvious reasons. And this division, if he takes the Browns, he would close out the division if it goes this way. Matt, Bean, and Finns. And I think he feels like with that Browns team, he can compete in that division. Um, I think you with the Ravens would be tough. Matt with the Steelers would be tough, but his offense would be probably pretty bad considering no Herbert. So at least the first season or two, he's going from Herbert to Kenny Pickett or whatever he decides to trot out there. And I think that leaves enough of an opening for NYT to think that he doesn't have to worry about anybody joining in after him, and he feels like he can compete.
Yeah, NYT's one of those guys who doesn't feel bad about leaning on that run, and I think we could see kind of what um Noel was going for this season before we got blipped, where it's like 25 rushing TDs in
Yeah.
like 10 weeks or something like that. Something ridiculous. I could definitely see NYT trying to do something similar like that. I know he's been, fake putting Henry on the trade block. I don't know what all
Yeah.
that was about, but I'm think he's more than happy using Freight Train.
Yep. Next up at 14, we've got Faz, and I think he wants the. I think he would love to have the Dolphins with Hill and Waddle and all the speed that they have there. But I think in this scenario with Mike being the Bills, there's no way. Um,
Hmm.
so I think he goes to the 49ers. It's a loaded team. You've got Debo, you got McCaffrey, you got Ayuk, even Kittle on the offensive side, and then you have a young guy like Trey Lance, who's one season away from being superstar anyway. So Faz will have him there at whatever point he decides he wants him to be a superstar.
Yeah, Faz is one of those guys that doesn't really have to chase a QB. He can go to a loaded team without a QB
Yeah.
because no matter who he's using, he'll dev up. So the Niners are definitely one of those teams where they're just insane all over the board. So I could see him going there. In mine, I guess technically I don't have them there, and I
Mm-hmm.
had Mike leaving the or not going to the Bills, so I could see him going Dolphins here.
Okay. Yeah, that
So
works.
wherever Mike isn't.
All right. That puts Meats at 15, and I got Meats taking the Jaguars. I think with the Jaguars, he gets a really young team, but he gets a superstar quarterback that's not going to retire after season one, which we saw the kind of fall off he had from Rodgers leaving. Um, Lawrence also has a bunch of mobility. He's not a statue in the pocket, and I think that fits Meats perfectly. And then if you look at the rest of that division, it doesn't look like the division is going to be too difficult. Colts, Texans, and Titans all still on the board, and very beatable guys in the majority of the ones below him.
Yeah, this is actually one of those sneaky teams that I was actually looking at. You're loaded on offense for basically, the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
You with your quarterback, you got the running back, you got Ridley, Kirk, and then you have Evan Ingram who, meets did he get a fast tight I forget who he had at tight end this year, but it was someone good, I'm pretty sure. And then the defense you have guys, on the D line. I forget his name, Josh Allen and
Yep, Trayvon
Trevon Walker.
Walker, Clavon Chasen.
DBs are pretty good with Cisco, you can use her around.
Yeah,
I just think it's a sneaky good team, and I could see him going there, especially, two good linebackers, two good user linebackers. It's a pretty good team.
Yeah,
It's I think it's underrated.
yeah, pretty well off. Speaking of good teams, though, I've got Dump at 16, and I've got him taking the Commanders. Uh, this is one of those where I think Dump, he's not the best on defense, so pick a team that's going to do it for you. And I don't think any team in the game that's got a better front four than the Commanders. And he'll also be able to put up yards with how we've seen with Dump. It doesn't matter who his quarterback is; he's going to be able to throw the ball around. So I think Hal actually being young and a developable. I don't even know if that's a word, but we're going to use it. Um, I think that's a quarterback that would be more of a draw for him than anything. He liked what he did with Ritter, and I think now he just gets Howell, and Howell's an even younger guy.
I feel like this is just an upgrade at every position from
Yeah,
his Falcons team. I mean, your quarterback stay maybe goes a little bit worse going from Ritter to Howell, but I mean Ritter was injured, right? So
that's true too. Yeah,
better weapons on offense with McLaurin, Dotson, and Samuel. You got better running back. I know you had to trade for Damian Harris, I think it was.
yeah.
Better defense, D line's better. I guess the only thing that you don't have is the cornerback for the Falcons. I'm blanking on his name.
AJ Terrell.
Yeah, AJ Terrell. It's the only thing you're really missing out. But other than that, I think it's an upgrade pretty much
Yeah.
everywhere. So
All right. So then we have QB. QB was a tough one because I don't couldn't really decide what I thought he would value more. Obviously, in this scenario, if the Cowboys are there, I think it's an obvious he takes the Cowboys. But we just assumed Grams would stay with his Cowboys. Um, as far as who QB would take, he talked about the Seahawks a lot early before the team draft. I don't see any team that kind of jumps out as something that I think he would like. I think he sticks with the Seahawks here, who are going to be better because you've got guys like Kenneth Walker and Tariq Woolen. That both of those guys ended up significantly better than they started. Um, and then the Seahawks still have 2 first-round picks. After being with the Broncos and having Russell Wilson and absolutely zero flexibility with the cap and an awful contract for a quarterback, I think the Seahawks actually just they may not be the best pick here, but I think because they're so opposite of the Broncos, he may end up taking them.
yeah, if the Seahawks somehow get past me, then I think he goes them here. I mean, you get that first round pick for the 76 overall. What is it, Russell Wilson,
Yep.
76 overall? No one's gonna want him. That's gonna be a bottom tier team. It's probably gonna go to someone like who's towards the. I think Monty would probably take the bait. He probably doesn't realize that he's 76 overall. He's
Still
probably gonna
thinks he's a
expect like an 80
yeah,
something overall.
yeah, that's
Um,
possible.
Russ. So you're probably gonna get an unlucky player like that taking him and doing well, and then you're not gonna get the greatest pick. But having 2 firsts and those insane rookies, this team's really nice. But
Yeah,
I could also see him go in the Cowboys here just because they're on the board. I don't think he's gonna have. I think if they're on the board, you take them if it's your favorite team,
yeah,
especially this late in the draft.
yep,
If
absolutely,
they're a good team too,
yep.
which the Cowboys are.
So speaking of guys that are going to pass on their favorite team, Fig already has his favorite team in the Patriots. So if we blip, I think he takes the Dolphins. I think the Cardinals are a perfect fit for him because you've got a fast quarterback and you've got speed at just about all of your receivers are super fast. But I don't think he wants to get butt fucked by Faz for the next 5 seasons. He already did that with the Bears, and Faz was the Vikings. So I think he goes to the Dolphins. Still got 2 guys insanely fast. And then he gets to play Mike in DW, where I think he has a shot, or at least he thinks he has a shot to win. Maybe doesn't quite have the quarterback stability, but if there's anything Fig is known for, it's definitely not quarterback stability. So I think he'll be fine with Tua.
Did the Dolphins trade their first or San Francisco's first for Bradley Chubb?
I actually have no idea, and
I think it was
I don't know if it's going to
San.
be if it's going to be reflected in the game either. I don't know if
I
they
think we're gonna.
updated
Well, I
draft
think that's
picks.
one of those things that we'll have to manually do. But I think it was San Fran's pick. So if it is, he's gonna have his receivers set for the cycle, and then he's gonna have assuming he doesn't like Tua very much, he's probably gonna have a top pick that he can either move Tua, and then he can probably draft another guy and get a new Dame Dame Dempsey or whatever his name is,
Yeah,
and then he can trade him to Prime after a year
yeah.
after
Well,
Brady's
that'll
gone.
be one to look up to see if any of those draft picks have moved. I doubt it.
I'm looking at them now. They're not updated in game,
Yeah,
but I would imagine, some of the bigger like first round trades, like the CMC trade or the Bradley Chubb trade, will probably move the picks over.
All right.
I'd like to think.
Well, this is a what if, so we'll say we did.
Yep.
Okay. Then we have Tiny and the Titans. There's no way he doesn't take the Titans here. I don't think favorite team this far down the list. You're already not having the best selection. The Cardinals are there, but I think he gets the Titans. Meats is already in the division. Like we said earlier, there's mostly beatable guys below him. So he gets his favorite team, and he has a chance at winning, and I think that's too tough to pass up.
Yeah, especially if you know this is probably Tannehill's last year
Yeah,
on the Titans. You know he's gonna retire after this year. He's just falling off a cliff, right, Tiny? So I definitely think it's one of those Brady things where it's like, oh, it's the last opportunity to try him.
yeah.
So I think this could be a one last run for old Tiny.
All right, so at 20, we've got Biz picking. This was a no brainer for me. He takes the Cardinals. Great fit for his current play style where he just runs with the quarterback. So he gets a fast quarterback, and already he's a superstar, so he doesn't have to worry about any dev with him. And then a team that's just loaded with speed. We saw him go out and trade for Marquise Brown. Doesn't even have to do that now. He'd have Marquise Brown already on the team. Um, this one just seemed like too good of a fit. The only thing I wonder is, in this situation, I got Faz taking the 49ers. Does he run away from that rivalry, or does he just kind of lean into it?
Yeah, I think, Biz is all about the content. He does his his what are they called? Like the blogs on Neon, and pure content is what's going to happen with this cap whenever he's managing it after 2 seasons.
Yeah,
And I think he's going to lean right into that, and he's going to give us all something to laugh about.
yeah. So then we have Clink and the Panthers. I had this one between the Packers and the Panthers just because I think Clink really kind of leans on his defense, and they both have good defenses. But I think he also likes to have a little bit of flexibility, and that Packers cap is just basically you spend the first couple seasons seeing who you can get rid of. There's not really adding much of anything to it. So I have him going to the Panthers, but if he does, that is a stacked division. If this were to fall the way I have it, you've got um, the Falcons is QP, the Saints is D-Muse, and the Bucks is Prime. That would be a real tough division to walk into if you have any other options. But down here at 21, it's not exactly a ton of teams to choose from.
Yeah, I like the Packers for him here a lot. He's been using that Steven Shelley or whatever.
Yeah,
He had a year with Brady. I think he gets another year with Rodgers. And if you get, unlucky and Rodgers retires, your cap situation's almost fixed. You just free up 40 million or
yeah,
whatever it is per year. And this defense is loaded. He can use Quay Walker and use over the middle. He has the inside stuffer, good cornerbacks, good safeties, even good outside linebackers. The defense is set for you. He can just focus on deving up Romeo and Christian Watson,
yeah.
and I think this is a great fit for him.
All right. So I've actually got the next pick going to Coop and the Packers. He gets a year to develop Love this time before he has to use him, as he can sit behind Rodgers for at least a year, depending on what Rodgers does. And then he's like you just talked about the ready-made defense on the Packers that'll just carry him through the cycle.
Yeah, I think the Packers one of the better teams left in my opinion. I think the team's good. I know there's cap issues, but like I said, if you either get unlucky and Rodgers retires, you get your cap situated. If you're lucky and you get him for another year, you have Rodgers for another year.
Yeah.
And Rodgers is probably the best 1 year quarterback in the game in my opinion, so Coop could probably, sling it out with him.
Yeah. So then at 23, I've got RD. This an obvious choice again. He gets his favorite team. He said plenty of times that he would take the Raiders every time they're available. Um, the only reason I don't know if they'll be available, though, you got Chandler Jones and Max Crosby. Both have edge threat elite.
Oh
Anybody that's
man.
looking for pass rush, I don't think it gets better than two guys having edge threat elite. One of them's getting in. You can't double both of them. So it's going to be a real pain for anybody that plays against that defensive line. RD's a guy that spent all cycle so far looking for pass rush. So to have your favorite team have two guys with edge threat elite would be a dream come true, I think, for RD.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this team right now. It's one of those ones that I kind of overlooked. Outside of your DBs, you're pretty set on defense. I mean, you got the user in like Devon Diablo.
Yep.
You got Jayon Brown. You could probably trade. You got the good D line. Not even to mention how good Devontae and Darren Waller are.
Yep. And
Plus,
Brandon
I think
Jacobs.
Artie's a runner. Yeah, Josh
Yep.
Jacobs
Or
is just
Josh Jacobs, yeah.
Josh Jacobs is a freak. I mean, I know he's leading the league in rushing this year, so they got him a nice boost up to 94 overall.
Yep.
and you're not superstar yet, so you have the good chances at ability since you're 90 whatever
Yep.
overall. You actually have a chance to get decent abilities. So I think if this team's here, I mean, it's a lock, especially for a fan of that team.
Yeah, at 23 and a fan of the team, that's a tough one to pass on. Other than quarterback, but I think Carr is good enough in the game that you can use him. So
Yeah, he's probably 80 something,
yeah,
right? I have 78. Ugh.
yeah, it's still not bad.
Better than whatever he was using with the Texans.
Exactly. That's a benefit for him. He's not going from a good
Yep.
one to a bad one. Then at 24, we've got Colt. I've got him taking the Giants. I think now I've said it before. One of the seasons I did a mock draft, and I thought he would take the Vikings because I thought it was an obvious pick based on the way he plays. And now I've got the same with the Giants. He's got what will be an X factor Barkley, and then they obviously are in the playoff. How they're in the playoffs, I think they clinched. So um, their rating's going to be improved. I think it's a perfect fit for him. He likes to throw to his running backs. You got probably one of the best pass catchers outside of Kamara, and so I haven't taken the Giants, but I'm sure he'll just go ahead and take like the Broncos or the Cow or Texans or something to completely just throw it off the wall.
Yeah, I think this is one of those ones where it's almost a perfect fit, but the thing that he's missing is the deal breaker, and there's no room for Noel to join that division right after him.
Well, that's
I
true.
think he's gonna end up
Yeah.
taking whatever division has two open spots, and he's gonna take the worst of the two teams and let Noel come in right behind him and take whatever is the better of the two.
All right. So you have Noel coming in behind Colt and taking him. Uh, so I've got Noel picking next with the Lions. Actually, I think there's no great options here at this spot in the draft. But two first round picks and Cap make them probably the most attractive. You got speed with Chark and Williams at receiver to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's now a superstar as well. Doink and Coop in the division don't make you think it's unwinnable. And then Swift is a really good running back too. Not quite Chubb, who he's going to be coming from, but I think good enough that he can develop him as well.
Yeah, I think I have assigned probably the same team to like four people now, so I have no idea what teams I have left. I'm just kind of going off the top of the head
That's fine.
here.
Just go with whoever you think would be a good one.
So I'm still gonna go with my previous however the draft falls out. I think Colt and Noel are going to the same division. I think those two. I feel like every time I see it, they're following each other, and I think Noel he was starting to have good success once he started running the ball out. So I think he
Yep.
could probably take another running back, whoever is the best available. I mean Swift here on the
It actually
board.
might be Swift from what I have left. You have the
Yeah,
Lions, the Bears, the Texans. I've already locked Grams to the Cowboys. Oh, you have the Colts. That would be the better
it'll
running
probably
back.
be Johnny Taylor in the Colts, and then what's his name on the Texans.
Yeah, Pierce.
Yeah.
You also have
I think
Javante
those
Williams with
those
the
two could
Broncos, I
both go
guess.
like to those two teams, I guess is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, since
Okay.
they're both available.
All right. So at 26, we've got Gutta, and I've got him taking the Bears. He traded two first round picks for Malik Willis, who's awful but fast. I think now he gets an actually faster quarterback that can actually throw. Um, not quite the defense that the Vikings had, but this low he gets the fastest quarterback that's left, and he doesn't have to trade two firsts for him.
Yeah, I feel like the season that Gudo was good, he was being praised for his defense,
Yeah,
and dropping down to the Bears, I this might cause some trouble. I know. I watched one game of his, and I think him and Meats threw the ball at each other's defenders like 6 or 7 times back and forth, but none of them got picks.
yeah,
So I could see Gouda throwing it right at the Packers defenders again, getting picked, and then his Bears guys just not being good enough to
yeah,
return the favor. So this could be trouble.
yeah. I think it could be trouble. I just don't know where else he would go. Maybe the
Yeah,
Rams
that's
if you're
fair.
looking defense. I've still got the Colts on the board, so maybe them. But
Yeah, that's a tough pick there. I think he's probably going to go best team available
yeah,
just because I think that's what he wants. He should by now realize that he doesn't really need a good quarterback, or
yeah,
he shouldn't go after one. I think you just run the ball out. He was doing good with Alvin, and then play to your strength, which is defense,
yeah. I think
and
for me
try to keep games
it was just
low
being
scoring.
so willing to give up two firsts for a quarterback that was proven to not be able to throw.
Hmm.
Means he's willing to sell out for anything to get that fast
You're
quarterback,
not wrong. You're not wrong
and
there.
so we'll see. Maybe he does go. He learns from his mistakes and goes defense, but I have a feeling he's going to kind of lean into it. Um, so next up is KJ. I mean, it's going to be a common theme that we're in the last six here. There's not going to be a lot of good teams, so I think a lot of it comes down to division and maybe what you think you can do with the team. Texans more draft capital than anybody. They got double first in the next two drafts, and on top of that, he gets to be in Tiny's division, and we've seen him go to Tiny's division before. So I think we'll see it again with this few amount of teams remaining.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna snipe any like of anyone's favorite teams. I know on your list we have, Grams and Monty and Paulie coming up, and
Yeah,
they like the Colts, Pats, and Cowboys are all ready. So I don't think he's gonna snipe any of those teams if it's possible to join Tiny's division. I don't know how much he hates the Texans since they share a division with his favorite team. I
that's
don't think
true.
anyone can
Yeah,
hate the Texans.
yeah.
The
If
Texans just
anything,
kind of
you
the
like them
Texans.
because they're an easy win.
Exactly. So I could see him going the Texans here. It's not a fun team to rebuild, but it is a rebuild.
Yeah, and not having Prime in there makes it a little easier.
Oh yeah, those teams are definitely more
Yeah.
attractive without Prime lurking.
So then we have Grams taking the Cowboys at 28. I just think he takes them at every opportunity. It doesn't matter what the cycle's done or anything like that. That's who he's going to take if they're there. If they weren't there, I'm not even sure who he would take. I would think he might actually take the Rams. For Jalen Ramsey
Mhm.
and Aaron Donald, they're just the two best players left on the board. So maybe the Rams. I don't think he wants to be strapped with Russell Wilson's contract, so I think that puts the Broncos out. I don't think there's anything to be excited about on the Patriots, so that knocks them out. Maybe the Colts, because they're actually a pretty solid team, especially having that running back. But Grams likes to draft running backs, so I don't think he wants one that you don't need to replace.
Yeah, I mean, if the Cowboys are here, lock it in. We've seen him
Yeah,
take him before and after blip. He wants the Cowboys.
yeah,
If they're not here, you're getting tough down here at the bottom. I feel like you're getting like the Rams and the Broncos are pretty okay teams, but both are pretty hindered by their quarterback. Stafford lost superstar. He's 34, 75 overall. He's not going to be usable
yep,
for the most part. I guess you have Baker.
yeah.
You could
You do have
either
Baker.
ship out or you can use Baker. Uh, that's about all I have for that team
Yeah,
though. If it's the Cowboy, if the Cowboys are there, you could probably pencil it in as the
yeah.
Cowboys.
All right, so then we have 29 Monty, and I've got him taking the Colts. Only four teams left, and he's from Indiana, so might as well jump on the hometown Colts. And then that division, the way it falls, is Tiny, KJ, and Meats. That'd be real tough for him to lose. So I think that would be a little bit attractive for him as well.
Yeah, I think the Colts are probably going to go number like or number one to Prime, obviously number like 12 to Mike, or they're going to go down here towards the bottom.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone else is really going to jump on them. You almost have to win to represent the Colts in SML, and I think Monty, with this division, he could definitely do it. And I'm pretty sure if the Colts were there, he would take them. It wouldn't even be a second thought. I think this is the only opportunity to really get them
yeah.
ever, unless we, blip again, which isn't unlikely at this point, I swear. But yeah, I think if Colts are there, he's going Colts.
All right. Then we got 30 Paulie, and it was Patriots, Rams, or Broncos. And I went with the Patriots' favorite team. At least some days it seems like it is. Some days maybe not. But with not a lot of options, and then the Rams and the Broncos both, they're going to need a quarterback soon anyway. So even if uh, he doesn't like Mac Jones, hell, it can be Zappy time because there's not much to pick from, and I think he'll take the Patriots if they're there and he's in the bottom three.
So this one, definitely, I think the Patriots are the way to go for him. He can trade Mac. I know he hates Mac. He can trade him
Yep,
to
genius.
DMUs and get a throw power quarterback. I think Jameis is probably a little more throw power than Mac at this point.
Yeah.
The only thing that's worrisome for Paulie, I know earlier in the cycle, I don't know if it's still a thing. Normal dev receivers couldn't get dev games for some reason. So if you got them to star after having the like end of season, then
Mm-hmm.
you could dev them up. But
Oh.
if he can't, he'd probably spam Tyquan Thornton. Just it's Paulie.
And then not get anything.
So yeah, so he probably wouldn't get anything till after the year, which would be annoying for him. But at least we'll have dev games, hopefully.
Maybe we'll see.
Well,
We
maybe.
we don't know what's broken after they did whatever to the servers to fix
Yeah.
whatever they claim happened anyway, which was a lie because I was in primer during that window and it's fine. Um,
Nice.
so
That makes it even funnier.
yeah, so I mean there was probably quite a few people in there because as soon as SML got locked, first thing I did was, well, is the other one locked? And so
Hmm.
I'm sure I'm not the only one. So next up, 31, two step. It's between the Rams and the Broncos, and he takes the Rams because it's not the Broncos. Um, you do have some nice pieces there. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, again with 5 seasons left at most. You don't have to worry as much about age. So I think the Rams actually might not be that bad of a team.
Yeah, of these two teams, the Rams are definitely better. I think they just have more unreplaceable players. I guess
Yeah.
what does Matt call them? Or Matt or
Unicorns or
Dan
whatever.
calls them?
Yeah.
Yeah, unicorn, something like that. You have three unicorns on the team that you just can't really replace
Yeah.
anywhere else, and you can build your team around them. You're kind of strapped for cap, especially with Matt Stafford being borderline unusable.
Yeah.
But Baker's, you can chip him out to someone, or you can just use him instead. I know Stafford has that mentor tag. I guess that's about his only
Yeah.
worth. But yeah, this is the better team of the two.
Yep. So then at 32, I've got Field. Obviously, the Broncos, the only team I have left. The good news is Russ is now 76 overall. So even though he's superstar, he's low enough to be traded. Bad news is that contract still keeps him from being traded. So now you're
Yeah,
just stuck with a very expensive backup. But
yeah. Russ is one of those players too that are glitched that they only have one ability at 76 overall,
yeah,
and so you're never gonna be able to dev him. So you're gonna end up getting your best option is safety valve or tight out. Like you're gonna have that and dashing deadeye, which dashing deadeye is nice, but Russ isn't. So you're
yeah,
kind of stuck with it.
and
He's
you're
too
never
fast.
getting a point for him. He's so old that
Yep.
he's not going to get
Yeah,
a
you
dev
need
point. So
30,000 XP to level him up.
yeah,
And I'm just looking at him right now in game. He honestly doesn't look that bad. Like I know he's 76
yeah,
overall, but his only bad stats like 70 awareness. He still has 91 throw power, 87 throw on the run, 85 speed, 90 excel. He's still good.
yeah. He's still not
He's just
bad. He's just not worth that contract, and you're just
exactly. He's
stuck
not
with it.
worth 300 million or whatever for
Yep.
however many years that you're stuck with him.
Yeah, like if we don't blip, QB has at least a chance to trade him away now that we're in
Yeah.
season going into season 4, and he'll be somewhat usable. But with that new roster, if we blip, that's going to be tough for Field and the Broncos. But at least he gets a somewhat mobile quarterback. He goes from Lamar to Russell Wilson, and they did,
And
like you
let's
said,
not forget
recovered
about
that first in the Chubb deal.
Pat Pat Surtain's just in this game.
Yeah,
He's a freak. 22 years old, 90 overall superstar, 93 speed. Good man, good press. I don't know what his abilities are in franchise. Let me take a look here. Outside shade and short route KO, which it's better than Energizer.
yeah, and it's not return
But
man or recuperation,
yep,
so it's not
exactly.
it's not terrible. And if
It,
that's the
it
team you
does
get
suck
handed,
that you lose Bradley Chubb, but in the game for some reason they did him dirty, and he was always like 84
yeah,
overall. And so you're getting a first out of him. At least you're getting some kind of return. It's not like these trades in real life where guys like that go for like a fourth round just because they can't afford them, and then you get nothing in return. You at least get a first. So you have two good tight ends that you could probably use or trade. Good receivers.
yeah, I think
Jamonte's nice.
it's not a terrible team. You're just not in a great place with cap, and the guy that's making it that way is not a guy you necessarily want to
Yeah,
keep.
he's that's your biggest obstacle.
Yeah,
It's your only obstacle.
but that's been our 1 to 32. What if the blip happens mock draft? We'll see what happens. Still, it's 11:15 on Monday, and we haven't heard anything from EA, and I don't think anybody's all that surprised about it. But we'll see what happens. Maybe they fix something. Maybe we hear something and we don't have to worry about any of this, and it all just becomes a what if. Or maybe this is how the mock draft or the real draft goes down. We'll find out at some point whenever Madden or EA decides to let us in on the secret. But
Yeah, whatever secret they're holding from us.
yeah, no idea. I don't see any updates or anything. I'm actually checking right now just to make sure we're not missing anything. But nope, nothing yet. So fingers crossed. Hold our breath and see what happens. But that's been SML's what if blip of Madden 23. So thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks, guys.